A Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
Brian Brooks wrecked Pitbull Speed Racer and AJ Carmendinger in practice for this race, and Speedy Comet crashed in qualifying. The only one around at the time was Frank Vroomerson, who said this. And also, Speedy Comet will be out this race and for the first 5 races of next season. Now onto the starting grid. Matt Karzith will start at pole position with Kurt Busch-Tire to his outside. The 2 Pancake Shift-Right racing cars of Joey Logierno and Brad Keselowski will start in row 2. Denny Carlin, who's had a bad season, will start in row 3 to the inside of Kevin Harvick. Lightning McQueen will start on the inside of row 4 with Martin Truex Jr. to his outside. Ricky Speedhouse Jr. will start in row 5 with Cal Weathers to his outside, hoping to win the Piston Cup this season. Row 6 has the mean yellow car, Kyle Busch-Tire, and TG Castlenut to his outside. Row 7 has Casey Corner and the Jumper, Jeff Burnton, to his outside. Row 8 has the Rocket, Ryan Newcar, and Greg Beeple to his outside. I wonder who he's going to do this race. Row 9 has Jimmy Cables, who says he might win this race, and Carl Edwards to his outside. Row 10 has Eric Carmarola and Kyle Carson, only making his 4th Piston Cup start. Row 11 has Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his former teammate Mark Carton to his outside. Row 12 has Brick Yardley and Bobby Swift, who is currently in the top 5 in points. Row 13 has Clint Bokar on the inside and Phil Tankson to the outside. I wonder what they're going to do this race. Row 14 has teammates Juan Papa Montoya and Jamie McCarry. Row 15 has Reb Meeker and to his outside, James Garrison. Row 16 has another jumper, Doug Throttleman and rookie Billy Carjoy in his first season finale. Row 17 has Ernie Gearson and Sebastian Silva. I wonder what they're going to do this race. Row 18 has Jamarcus Capehart and Todd Marcus, who nearly missed practice. Row 19 has Brick Hicks and Darren Ledfoot. Expect him to lead some laps this race. Row 20 has Tommy Highbanks and Murray Clutchburn, who made his 1,000th consecutive Piston Cup start a few weeks ago. Row 21 has Rex Revler and Jack DePost. I hope they don't wreck each other out. And starting in 43rd is Chip Gearings, who we all hope won't have an engine failure. And here are some cars who failed to qualify for this race, among many others. Now into the race. Matt Karzith would lead the first 11 laps of the race before losing the lead to his teammate Denny Carlin, who would stay in the lead until lap 14, where Matt Karzith would retake the lead. He would lead until lap 15, where he would lose the lead to Kevin Harvick, who would only lead for 2 laps before, you guessed it, Matt Karzith would retake the lead, leading for 8 laps before Lightning McQueen would take the lead for himself. He would lead until lap 26, where he'd lose the lead to James Garrison, who would lead 2 laps for himself before Kevin Harvick would retake the lead. He would lead for 2 laps before losing the lead to Kurt Busch-Tire, who would lead for 3 laps before he'd lose the lead to Cal Weathers, who would lead from lap 30 to lap 32. But then, Lightning McQueen would retake the lead, leading for 8 more laps before Matt Karzith would retake the lead. He would lead for 41 laps, but Rex Revler would be 29th as of lap 63, where he wrecks Sebastian Silva, who then says this to Rex Revler. I mean, Sebastian is right, and Rex Revler says that it was a force of habit. Hopefully he never does that again. Darren Ledfoot would take the lead from Matt Karzith on lap 81 and lead until lap 85, where Matt Karzith would retake the lead, leading all the way until lap 91, before Kyle Carson would take the lead on lap 91 and lead his first 2 laps before Cal Weathers would retake the lead. He would lead until lap 93, where Matt Karzith would retake the lead. He would lead all the way until lap 139, but on lap 104, Chip Gearings would be out because of an engine failure. Why? And Joey Logierno would fail to wreck James Garrison on lap 118. And Todd Marcus would be out on lap 119 because of an engine failure. Dale Earnhardt Jr. would take the lead on lap 139 and lose the lead the very next lap to Jimmy Cables, who would keep the lead for a very short time before Darren Ledfoot would retake the lead. He wouldn't lead for long though, because over the start-finish line, Matt Kenseth would lead the field into lap 141 and keep the lead for 2 laps before Dale Earnhardt Jr. would retake the lead. He would lead for 10 laps before Matt Kenseth would retake the lead. He would lead all the way until lap 166, where Lightning McQueen would retake the lead, leading for just 2 laps before Denny Carlin would take the lead for himself, leading for 40 laps. Meanwhile, Joey Logano would fail to wreck Jamarcus Cakart on lap 175, and Kyle Busch-Tire would fail to wreck Brick Hicks on lap 201. Kevin Harvick would take the lead on lap 207 and lead for 5 laps before Lightning McQueen would retake the lead, leading on just lap 214. But then, Bad Brad Keselowski would take the lead for himself, leading for 8 laps. But then, Kyle Busch-Tire would be 10th as of lap 222, where he wrecks Rex Revler and James Garrison. Why, you mean yellow car? The mean yellow car's teammate Denny Carlin would take the lead after the restart, leading for just 2 laps before Dale Earnhardt Jr. would take the lead for himself, leading for 11 laps before Denny Carlin would retake the lead on lap 235. Later that same lap, Lightning McQueen would retake the lead. He would only stay in the lead for 1 turn before Darren Ledfoot would retake the lead, leading the field into lap 236. Later that lap, Denny Carlin would retake the lead, leading for 3 laps before Dale Earnhardt Jr. would take the lead once again, leading all the way until lap 243, where Darren Ledfoot would retake the lead, leading for 2 more laps before Denny Carlin would retake the lead for himself, leading for 20 more laps. And then Darren Ledfoot would retake the lead, leading for 5 more laps until lap 270. 1 lap before that, John Throttleman would jump over Jeff Burton. How? And then Lightning McQueen would take the lead on lap 270 and lead for 15 laps before Cal Weathers would retake the lead, leading for just 2 laps. But then Matt Kenseth would retake the lead on lap 296 and lead for 9 more laps before Lightning McQueen would retake the lead, leading for 4 laps. Ernie Gearson would retire from the race on lap 309 because he got too tired. Darren Ledfoot would take the lead after the restart, leading for 5 more laps. After the end of those 5 laps, Cal Weathers would retake the lead and lead for 3 more laps before Dale Earnhardt Jr. would retake the lead, leading for 3 more laps before Martin Truex Jr. would lead his first lap this race. Later that same lap, Brick Yardley would take the lead, leading the field into lap 322, where later that lap, Kyle Busch-Tire would take the lead, leading for 4 laps. But then, he would fail to wreck Jack DePost on lap 325. Why are you wrecking cars? You are in the lead! And then he would be passed by his teammate Matt Kenseth on lap 326, keeping the lead until lap 348, where Lightning McQueen would take the lead once again, leading for 10 more laps before Phil Tankson would take the lead. He would keep the lead until lap 363, where Kyle Busch-Tire would push him! Why? And then Matt Kenseth would take the lead, leading for 5 more laps before Denny Carlin would take the lead for himself once again, leading until lap 374, where Billy Carjoy would take the lead on lap 374 and keep the lead for another lap. But then, Denny Carlin would be second as of lap 375, where he wrecks the leader, Billy Carjoy. Why? The results of this crash also led to Jack DePost, Tommy Highbanks, and Reb Meeker all going down 1 lap. Denny Carlin would take the lead after the restart, leading for 2 more laps before Lightning McQueen would take the lead for himself, leading until lap 379, where Kyle Busch-Tire would push and fail to T-bone Lightning McQueen. On lap 379, Matt Kenseth would also take the lead, losing the lead on lap 385 to Denny Carlin, his teammate, who would lead for 9 more laps. But then, Reb Meeker would be out on lap 393 because of an engine failure. And then on lap 394, Darren Ledfoot would take the lead, leading the field until lap 395. Later that lap, Cal Weathers would take the lead, leading until lap 397, where Denny Carlin would push Cal Weathers. Why? And then Denny Carlin would take the lead, leading all the way until lap 415, where Darren Ledfoot would retake the lead, leading for 11 laps until lap 426, where Lightning McQueen would take the lead once again. He would only keep the lead for 1 turn before Cal Weathers would retake the lead. He wouldn't lead for long either, as Kyle Busch-Tire would take the lead and lead the field until lap 427. Later that lap, he would lose the lead to Dale Earnhardt Jr., who would lead until lap 430, where Darren Leadfoot would retake the lead once again, leading for 9 more laps. But on lap 437, Denny Carlin would fail to wreck Darren Leadfoot, and then Denny Carlin would push Lightning McQueen on lap 438. Luckily for him, Lightning McQueen went from 3rd to 31st as a result. Cal Weathers would be the next car to take the lead, taking the lead on lap 439, but not leading for long, as on lap 440, Darren Leadfoot would retake the lead, leading until lap 444, where Denny Carlin would retake the lead, leading for 4 more laps before Eric Carmarola would lead his first lap this race. Later that lap, he would lose the lead to Ricky Speedhouse Jr., also leading his first lap this race. And also, Kyle Busch-Tire, the mean yellow car, would take the lead and lead until lap 453, where Cal Weathers would retake the lead. He would lead for 4 more laps before losing the lead to Martin Carx Jr., who would stay in the lead until lap 462, where Jimmy Cables would take the lead for the first time this race, leading for 2 laps before Darren Leadfoot would retake the lead, leading all the way until lap 470, where Denny Carlin would take the lead once again, leading until lap 477. Kyle Busch-Tire would take the lead on lap 477. Now here are some things that happened this lap. Joey Logano would fail to wreck Kyle Busch-Tire on lap 477. Tommy Highbanks would go down a second lap this lap. Denny Carlin would retake the lead from Kyle Busch-Tire this lap. And as he was in the lead, he would wreck. Who does he wreck? Tommy Highbanks! Why, you mean purple car? And at the end of the lap, Brad Keselowski would take the lead, leading until lap 481, where Cal Weathers would retake the lead, leading for 3 more laps before he'd lose the lead to Jamarcus Cakart, who would only lead the field briefly before Darren Leadfoot would retake the lead, leading until lap 489, where he'd lose the lead to Jimmy Cables, who would only lead for a short time before he'd lose the lead to Denny Carlin, who would then lead the field until lap 490, where he'd lose the lead to T.G. Castlenut, leading his first 5 laps this race. On lap 494, Cal Weathers would retake the lead, leading into the next lap, lap 495. Denny Carlin would push Lightning McQueen on lap 495 in turn 1, then his teammate Kyle Busch-Tire would fail to wreck Lightning McQueen in turn 2. At the same time, Darren Leadfoot would retake the lead, but he wouldn't stay in the lead for long because T.G. Castlenut would retake the lead, leading the field until lap 496 until the backstretch where Denny Carlin would take the lead. And then his mean yellow teammate Kyle Busch-Tire would fail to wreck Lightning McQueen and Cal Weathers on lap 496 in turn 3. At the same time, Darren Leadfoot and Matt Kenseth were pushing each other on lap 496, and then in turn 3, Cal Weathers would take the lead, but then in turn 4, Jimmy Cables would retake the lead on lap 496, and then Denny Carlin would take the lead coming out of turn 4 and lead the field until lap 497, where T.G. Castlenut would retake the lead, leading until lap 499. Denny Carlin would fail to wreck T.G. Castlenut on lap 497, and then Darren Leadfoot would take the lead on lap 499 in turn 1. But then Denny Carlin would retake the lead, leading for most of the lap before losing the lead to T.G. Castlenut, who would take the white flag. Doug Throttleman would jump over Murray Clutchburn on lap 500, and then Lightning McQueen would also use the wall to pass T.G. Castlenut. Lightning McQueen would then take the lead. He would lead the field to the checkered flag to win the 2013 LA 500, with Denny Carlin finishing second this race, Matt Kenseth third, Darren Leadfoot fourth, Dale Earnhardt Jr. fifth, Jimmy Cables sixth, Cal Weathers seventh, Martin Carx Jr. eighth, Clint Bowcar ninth, and rounding out the top 10 is T.G. Castlenut. Murray Clutchburn would be the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 33rd this race. Now, this is the results of the race. I've already gone over the top 10, where all of the 4 cars who could have won the Piston Cup finished in the top 10. But in 11th is Bad Brad Keselowski, who just missed out on getting the top 10. Brick Yardley finished 12th this race, a decent performance. Kyle Busch-Tire, the mean yellow car, finished 13th. The other mean yellow car, Joey Logierno, finished 14th. Kevin Harvick finished 15th. Carl Edwards 16th. Phil Tankson 17th. Casey Corner 18th. Kyle Carson finishing 19th. And rounding out the top 20 is Eric Carmarola. Bobby Swift missed out on the top 20. So did the Rocket, Ryan Newcar, Juan Pablo Montoya, and Jamarcus Taycart, who led a lap. Mark Carton finished 25th this race. Kurt Busch-Tire also led a lap this race, but he would end up finishing 26th this race, just ahead of Ricky Speedhouse Jr., who also led a lap this race. Jeff Burton, Greg Beeple, and Jamie McCarry also didn't lead a lap, and also neither did Brick Hicks or Doug Throttleman, who also finished on the lead lap. Murray Clutchburn was the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 33rd. Jack DePost also finished the lap down. Tommy Highbanks, Reb Meeker, Billy Carjoy, Ernie Gearson, Rex Revler, James Garrison, Todd Marcus, Chip Gearings, and Sebastian Silva were all unable to finish the race. Now for the big question. Who won the Piston Cup? Lightning McQueen wins the 2013 Piston Cup. This is Lightning McQueen's 6th Piston Cup. He hasn't even raced in the Piston Cup for 10 years yet. And he's already won 6 Piston Cups, the same amount as Drive Parkerson, and only one fewer than the King Stripweathers. Matt Karzif and TG Castlehunt are actually tied on points, but Matt Karzif had one more win, thus giving him the advantage. Cal Weathers would finish 4th this season. Rounding out the top 5 is surprisingly Jimmy Cables, with Kevin Harvick finishing 6th and Dale Earnhardt Jr. finishing 7th. Bobby Swift, by not finishing in the top 20, fell to 8th in the points, just ahead of Clint Bokar and Kyle Busch-Tire. Carl Edwards would just miss out on top 10, finishing 11th. Brick Yardley would finish 12th in the points, just ahead of Joey Logierno, who would finish ahead of his teammate, Bad Brad Keselowski, just ahead of Kurt Busch-Tire, who also beat out Martin Truex Jr. to finish in the top 15. Just behind Martin Truex Jr. is Phil Tankson, followed by Casey Corner, Greg Beeple, and Ryan Newcar to round out the top 20. Jamarcus Taycart finishes 21st this season, and he is also the highest finishing racer who did not qualify for all 36 races. Eric Carmarola would finish 22nd in points, just ahead of Brick Hicks and James Garrison. Denny Carlin had a bad season, missing 6 races through either injury or suspension. And he only finished a few points ahead of Jamie McCarry. And he would have finished behind him if Denny Carlin didn't finish 2nd in the final race. Murray Clutchburn would finish 27th, Billy Carjoy 28th, Jeff Burton would finish 29th, and Doug Throttleman will round out the top 30, with Juan Pablo Montoya finishing just behind him, followed by Reb Meeker, Rex Revler, who's had some weird behavior this season, Ernie Gearson, and Chip Gearings rounding out the top 35. Sebastian Silva would finish 36th in points, just ahead of Tony Gasswert, who missed the final 15 races through injury. Todd Marcus, Jack DePost, and Ricky Speedhouse Jr. round out the top 40.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
Mark Carton finished 41st this season, and he was actually tied in points with Ricky Speedhouse Jr. But Ricky Speedhouse Jr. held the advantage of having a better average finish, which came from him qualifying for fewer races. As you can see, this channel is now called the KA Bullets Piston Cup YouTube channel, which also means that this will be the last time that the current intro and outro will be used. I will be posting videos about the new intro and outro very soon. Besides that point, what do you think will happen in the 2014 Piston Cup season? The 2014 Florida 500 video will be coming out soon enough. Unfortunately, the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine is still going on. The Ukrainian people just want to live in peace and have freedom. But this common dream was ruined by the tyrant and bully Vladimir Putin. Why did you need to start this senseless war in Ukraine? Did you forget that Russia is the biggest country in the world? Many of your soldiers did not even want to fight this war. And 1/5 of Ukraine's land is currently illegally occupied by Vladimir Putin's tyranny, including Crimea, the Donbass, and parts of the Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, and the Kherson Oblasts. And also, due to the fact that Ukraine does not have enough soldiers to fight the war, Vladimir Putin's tyranny is slowly moving in and taking more of Ukraine's land. We here at the KA Bullets Piston Cup YouTube channel do not approve of this, and we stand with Ukraine in their struggle against Vladimir Putin's tyranny. Slava Ukraini! Heroyam slava! Nechai Shvitsya daruretsia! Ukraini permoha! Glory to Ukraine! Glory to the heroes! May Ukraine be granted victory very soon!